What up, what up, what up, what up, though? Happy Thursday, everybody. We are back with another amazing episode of A State of Mind right here on Podcastic, and I am so excited about today. First of all, I didn't even know this is my 2-year anniversary with Molentium Realty Services, so it's been 2 years since we've been in business, we've been established. Out here serving the community with property management, rentals, project management, and real estate services. So I'm really excited for myself today. But mostly important, I got an amazing guest right here to my left. I'm going to introduce my girl, Jackie. She's here with the county taxes or the city tax assessor's office, and she's going to help us comb through all of those difficult questions dealing with the property taxes. So no further ado, welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I know that property taxes are a huge topic in the city of Detroit.
Yes.
So happy to answer any questions.
Okay, perfect. All right, because you know they be ready to roll.
I know.
And I know one thing, me in real estate, I love real estate, but I don't fuck with the taxes. Don't ask me about no tax assessments, no SEVs, none of that. I don't know anything about that.
And see, that's where we have to start at.
Okay.
I really want the real estate agents to really begin to educate themselves, because you get the phone calls when they uncap.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If you can help mitigate that in the beginning, you save a lot of strife for the person who's purchasing in the end. So
Okay.
It's important for y'all who are selling the properties to really understand how that's going to affect the person that's buying it, because then they come down to the assessor's office, they come down to the board of review.
And I know that they missed that deadline recently. If they didn't come, wasn't it a deadline?
Yes, so we just got done with March Board of Review, which is the one time a year in the state of Michigan where you can appeal the valuation of your property. And a lot of times, not all the time, it can impact your taxable value. So it's very important that you pay attention to that yellow notice that you get in the mail, because it says this is not a bill, but it doesn't mean that it's not important.
Okay. So let's talk about that, Bill, because one of my clients, I don't know if she's watching it right now, but she sent me a copy of her yellow bill yesterday.
All right.
And she actually missed her deadline. So right now, I got this yellow bill here in front of me. Taxable value is at $21,000, and then another value, assessed value, was at $72,900 for 2024. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we have another year that went up to $81,000 for the taxable value, and then the assessed value went up to $85,000 as well. What does that mean?
Okay, so your assessed value and your taxable values are two different numbers, okay? And I'm going to ask you some questions so I can fully understand what took place from year to year, but I want to start off with the basics.
Okay.
Your assessed value is 50% of the true cash value of the property that the city has determined for your property.
Okay.
So your assessed value can never be more than 50% of your true cash value.
Okay.
And what happens is in the state of Michigan, all municipalities utilize what's called a mass sales study, right?
Okay.
Because they can't go into your house and see exactly what's going on with your property.
Right.
So they take similar sales of homes that are like yours, around the same square footage in the same community, and they come up with this number and they place that on your property based on the sales in the area.
Okay.
And they only use arm's length transactions, meaning the property was put on the open market. People had a chance to actually see the property.
Okay.
These prices are reflective of the market value. Here's the thing, though. Because it's a 2-year study, like for 2026, the 2-year study that was utilized was April 1st of 2023 to March 31st of 2025. Those are the numbers that we're using to put values on your properties.
Got you.
Okay. Your taxable value is the value that the number that they use to base your taxes on when they multiply it times the millage rate. I don't want to get into the millage rate now.
Okay.
Because that's y'all fault.
Okay.
Y'all voted for it.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. They did it.
Y'all did it. City of Detroit got some of the highest millage rates in the area because we voted for those millages, and it does make a difference in your property tax obligation.
Oh, shit.
So your taxable value uncaps the year after you purchase the property.
Okay.
So you purchase the property year after. You do not inherit the benefit of the previous owner's taxable value. So when your buyers come to you and they say, well, how much are they paying in property taxes? And you say, oh, they only paid $1,500 last year, right?
Right. That's not what they're going to pay next year.
No.
Oh,
No.
shit.
Now, this is written into the state constitution. This has nothing to do with the city of Detroit. There is not a county thing. Your property tax is uncapped, and the taxable value is brought up to the same rate as that assessed value.
Okay.
And then the cap is put back on
For another 2 years?
for forever until you transfer the property to somebody else.
Okay.
And it increases at the rate of inflation at max 5%. Okay?
Okay.
So that's why you see your assessed value going up and down,
Uh-huh.
and your taxable value is just going up slowly.
Yeah.
And you like, but my assessed value dropped $10,000 last year. Why didn't my taxes go down? Because it didn't fall below the taxable value number.
Okay. All right. I'm following it.
You following
I'm
it?
following it.
Okay. So your friend, what was the oldest year? What's the assessed value for the oldest year?
The oldest year assessed value right here is 2024.
Okay. And what does the assessed value say?
It was 72.9.
Okay. And the taxable?
Was $21,000.
Okay. Now go to the 2025 year.
2025 year, the assessed value is 85,100, and then the taxable value is the same, $85,100.
Did your friend purchase the property in 2024?
I think so.
Right. So the tax is uncapped in 2025.
Oh, but she's an investor, so
Right.
let's start there.
Okay.
All right.
So she purchased the property, and investors, you buy multiple properties. You should know this. Like, you should see a pattern and at least ask some questions, right?
Right.
So the year after she purchased the property, the taxable value uncapped. Now, the home may have needed a rehab. It may have been dilapidated. I don't know.
Right.
But if you don't let the assessor's office know, they're going to use the mass sales study, and they're going to place a value on your property, and that's where your taxable value is going to uncap.
So listen to this. She had a question about that. So she asked me yesterday to ask you, Jackie, if the property is assessed, so the tax assessment, if the taxes are paid this year at the assessed value and the assessed value is lower next year, what happens to the difference in the amount of taxes that she paid? Does she get a credit?
No, she lost her right to appeal that value this year, right?
Okay.
And what happens is people get that yellow notice and it says this is not a bill.
Right.
So you know how we do.
Right.
It's not a bill. To the side.
Right.
This is not important. It's very important.
It is.
You have to exercise your right to use that appeal process. And in the city of Detroit, you don't always have to come to my board. I sit on the Property Tax Board of Review. I'm the vice chair. I've been on the board for 5 years now.
Okay.
And as a result of that, I went and got my assessor certification because I really wanted to really understand. So I'm a level 2 assessor. So I really dive deep into assessments, valuations, and taxation on properties.
Okay.
It is your responsibility with your assets to know your rights.
Right.
Okay.
And you send a letter. Like,
And we
these are
send
your rights.
and the city of Detroit sends a thick packet with all types of information in it because we didn't want people to be able to say, well, I didn't have the information. You
Right.
have the information in Spanish, Arabic, English. They spend a lot of money on sending them packets out.
Do they?
Yes. Read the dang on packet. And you don't get to go back and say, well, I want to do over.
Yeah.
You had now if she comes in next year and we look at the property, and here's the other piece.
Okay.
We have to assess the property for the value of that year.
Okay.
So you didn't went in and you rehabbed this property. I can't go back and say, well, last year it was only worth $20,000, so I'm slapped $20,000 on it. No, you didn't came in. Now you a year later, you've renovated the property. You probably making income off the property. You got somebody renting it. I'm asking you all those questions. How much rent are you receiving a month?
So when they go into the board of reviews, they got to answer those questions.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you come in and I want to know how long was it on the market? Did you have an inspection or appraisal when you purchased it? You coming in, you know, we have folks come in and, you know, you buy in these historical neighborhoods and you drop $700,000 on this property. And then you come in and say, well, I think it's only worth $450,000. And I'm going to ask you, well, why'd you pay $250,000 over what you thought it was worth? You know? You coming in here trying to lower your taxes. So you're telling me your property isn't worth anything. And we have to get out of that mindset also.
Right.
Why are you depreciating one of the biggest assets that you have just to save on taxes?
That part. That part. So let me ask you this, because again, I work with a lot of investors, and they are sticker shocked when the taxes go up. Oh, the taxes are going up $6,000, $7,000. I had one guy, he bought a property from a homeowner on Pennington Street, bought the property for like maybe $180,000, $190,000. And I think maybe like within 6 months, he got his bill. He's like, Marleisha, the tax bill is $7,000. What am I supposed to do? I'm like, pay it. I don't know. And he's like, the taxes are so high. So let me ask you, why is that? Is it because they purchased in the LLC and it's a higher taxes for the investors?
So not necessarily. So of course we know about the principal residency exemption, right?
Right.
And that saves you, I believe, 16 meals on your tax bill a year because you own and live in your home.
Okay.
But outside of that, the voters have voted in several millages for the city of Detroit.
Okay.
We have a very high millage rate, and on top of that, property is selling in the city. I don't know where there's like a notion that nothing is of value in the city of Detroit.
I hate that.
People are dropping money, and I'm talking about not just downtown. They're dropping hundreds of thousands of dollars on properties in the city.
They are.
That drives the assessed value.
Okay.
So when you're talking about taxes uncapping, it's something that they voted on. I believe it was in 1995, Proposal A.
Oh, shit. Okay, you taking me back now, Jen.
Yeah, Proposal A, because before your taxable value will fluctuate with your market value. And
okay.
It was upsetting people's financial situations. And now we're in a situation where, again, the way that the properties are being taxed is upsetting the financial stability of people's households. I mean, we can't deny that the taxes aren't high.
Yeah.
But they're legal. It's a legal mechanism and we can continue to vote for the millages. So I think there's going to be some talk about ratifying the state constitution, because Proposal A, nobody ever expected for inflation to hit 5%.
Right.
During COVID, we had several years where the inflation hit 5%. Your taxes were jumping insanely, numbers that we had never seen before.
Right.
Nobody expected it to be this way. Nobody expected for small homes to be selling for $150,000.
Right.
Nobody expected it to be this way. But the way the system is set up, that's the way it's designed, and it's working the way that it's designed. And the office of the assessor, and nor can the board of review of any municipality just devalue property simply because we're trying to save on taxes. We got to come up with a better slution. But the solution is not devaluing your property.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. During COVID, I remember people were buying houses for like $35,000 as investors, and then investors would come in like, "Oh, I'm not spending $50,000 on a property in Detroit," and I'm like, "What the hell? $50,000 on a house is good." And they want to come in $50,000, put $10,000 in, and get Section 8 rent, $1,500 a month. And I'm like, okay, but you can't devalue the property just because it's in the city of Detroit. Mm-hmm. So now where we're at with the market, those $35,000 homes, they're now $60,000.
Yep.
You buy $60,000 houses and have to do a full rehab.
Yep.
Trust me, I'm working on 3 of them right now. And my clients bought them at $50,000, $60,000 in. So, and that's something else I probably need to tell them. Like, don't get happy with your tax bill that you have now.
Well, one thing I do say to investors is, or anybody who's buying dilapidated property in the city of Detroit, mm-hmm. you need to bring it to the board. You need to bring it to the assessor immediately. Okay. Let them know the state of the home, because a lot of times they believe the home are in fair and average condition, and it could be poor and unsound. A lot of these properties, especially if you're renovating them, you're purchasing them, they don't have HVAC systems. There are a lot of things that aren't in the property.
Okay.
If you can get your assessed value to match the actual value of the property, that's where your taxes uncap at.
Okay.
So you don't want to leave the city out of that process. You want to notify them. But again, some investors come in, they don't want you to know they're renovating rental properties. They don't want to get their certificate of compliance, right?
Yeah.
That, they don't want to go through those processes to become a legal rental property in the city. So they believe, like, I'm just going to shun all those departments. In reality, you want to work with them.
Right.
Just like payment in lieu of taxes, that's a new program that launched for people who are investing in multifamily properties in the city of Detroit. If you got a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex, even if you have a single-family home, there's a program called the pilot program.
Okay.
And as opposed to taxing you based on the assessed value of the property, they tax you based on the income that you're making on the property.
Really?
Yes, it's called the pilot program.
Okay.
There's a state level and there's a city level program. And I encourage all investors to take advantage of the city level program. It's new and it's going to change the game for them as far as their taxable obligation.
Now, where would they find the information about the pilot program?
Literally, if you Google Detroit pilot program, the site is going to pop up. It's through the city of Detroit, and if you have questions, you can work with HRD,
okay,
the Housing Revitalization and Development Department in the city,
okay,
and they'll point you in the right direction.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, that's some good news. I hope y'all listening up. The pilot program, reach out to HRD so that way they can help you out with your taxes. Okay. So what kind of stuff do you see down there at the tax assessor office? Do people come down there mad?
Yeah, they do come down there mad.
Do they?
You know, a lot of times it's just not understanding what they're looking at, or, you know, we get a lot of people, a lot of organizations who try and take advantage of people to push a narrative, right?
Okay.
So they're trying to push this narrative that property isn't worth anything in the city of Detroit. So they dragging your grandma down there saying my house isn't worth anything, and really she's trying to get her taxes taken care of. And we got a HOPE program for that. There's a poverty program for the city of Detroit. You can get exempt from 10% to 100% of your property taxes based on your income and household size.
What?
Yes. You don't have to go in and devalue your property.
Yeah.
If you genuinely need assistance. So they'll drag, they come in and they got these representatives and they drag grandma in there. And grandma's like, my house, it hasn't been renovated in years. The ceiling is falling in. And I'm like, ma'am, your house sounds unsound. Are you sure this is what you want to say on a record?
Right.
This is not the mechanism to lower your taxes. And they'll come in and they'll have these representatives. And the representative will come in and say, well, I think her house is only worth $5,000 true cash value.